Okay, guys, I guess we're live right now. My name's RJ Parker. I'm here with Adam Bratt of, he's of the internet as well. We're both of the
Yeah.
internet. You can see our Twitter profiles anyway. We both do some content, but Adam started to tell us in the pregame session, we're going to basically go over where content is going on the web and what the format of the content is likely to be.
Yeah, it's really rather interesting. This whole conversation really got kicked off when Mr. Parker over there decided to throw up a video saying, hey, if you've got a business, if you're trying to expand your brand, try doing Facebook video more so than YouTube. Not to not do YouTube, but put it up on Facebook first. Really share that around because, hey, the numbers seem to show that that's going to be the best bet to go. I'm a little bit skeptical on that because as great as Facebook is, and yes, it does have a little bit more reach than YouTube. With YouTube, you do have a lot more customization, a lot more things you can do as far as how you choose to share it out. In my humble opinion, I'm probably entirely wrong. That's why you're the social media expert, not me.
Man.
But I'm just a fat guy with a beard that happens to scream at the internet every once in a while. So this is a discussion topic, and basically, I wanted him to really flesh out where he thinks the future of web content is. Are we going towards video because of the fact that everybody's got this ADD that if you don't see a 30-second clip of something, you're not going to read the words beside it? Or is it because we're all becoming completely illiterate? Is that what's going on? Or is video entertainment really becoming the foreground? Is that really the big next step? And where would we go from there? Is there something past video? Is there something past live streaming, past words on a page or on an ebook or on a screen, or better than just, radio, audio, podcasting? Is there a better future out there? So that's kind of the discussion topic I wanted to go with today.
That's a good opener right there, Adam. You opened it up nice.
I try.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there to unpack a little bit, but at the end of the day, the big picture here is essentially how are we going to be communicating with each other? How are we going to be engaging with each other going forward? I want to start by saying that I think that the answers to these questions are not known. They're just hypothesized and theorized about right now. So Adam asking my opinion would just be his saying, let me see what this theorist has to say. What's his theory? Because he's had good theories or whatever in the past. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know what we're all going to be doing 2 years from now on the internet, or else I probably wouldn't be wasting my time talking to you guys. I'd be out betting on the stocks and ponies and all that.
Right.
But I do have an opinion. And I think that this chat we're having right now is kind of proof of my position, right? We could be having a instant messenger chat on AOL Instant Messenger right now, but that's completely pointless when you have an ability to have a side-by-side video and audio discussion with people live watching you and then have it automatically. Like I just found Banter an hour ago because I was like, geez, how hard is it for us to record Skype and all that other stuff?
Well, yeah, and here's the crazy thing. We used to be big doing Google Hangout stuff for something called the Voluntary Virtues Network, a libertarian, anarchist-focused thing. You guys can check that out if you're into that sort of thing, but that's not the idea of this conversation. And, we were thinking Skype, we were trying to do TeamSpeak, whatever the hell we could try to find to put together to try to have this conversation and find a way to record it so we could pop it up on his Facebook, because I've been blowing him up with little videos of me while I'm driving, just kind of poking little holes in things and trying to find ways to make him flesh out his arguments a little bit more. And I was like, well, hey, you're big into Periscope. Is Periscope a thing that we can just kind of merge two things together and have a conversation that way? He's like, no, wait a minute. Here's Banter.
Yeah, it should be a thing.
Oh my God, it is a thing.
How many times, I can't even tell you, in the past, I'd say 3-4 years as I've, started to become more entrepreneurial in my life, that I've had what I thought was an amazing idea for like a business or a product or invention. And I'm like getting all pumped. And then I go on Google and I'm like, oh, there's 30 of those. Like 1 million people have done that. And they're all jockeying for the, top spot and to not fall off the cliff. But to Adam, to your point about Periscope, I think that's excellent. My only gripe with Periscope is it's such a soapbox. If you're not the kind of person that could sit there and go for 10 minutes or 5 minutes on just your own steam, like you or me could.
Right.
And I won't even try to say I'm like more advanced than you are in that area, only by proof, because I've done over 160 or 170 Periscopes already.
Yeah.
In the past month and a half. I'm not saying as a matter of comfort, but I want to tell you something. I'm going to tell anybody watching this something. I actually get a little bit, for the lack of a better word, aggravated with people and their lack of content creation and their lack of engagement. I mean, I love producing content, and the only restriction I have is how much money I need to create to feed myself and provide for myself. But aside from that, once I made the money I got to make in the day, my favorite pastime is creating content and exchanging. Like, I've never met you in person in flesh, but I feel like I've known you as a good friend for over like a couple years now. So it's like the internet is the best, you know?
Well, and it's really rather interesting because, I tend to get, minorly engaged in some of your content in there, and, I'll throw a like up, or I'll, throw up a positive comment because, yeah, we're bros and that's what we do. And, I like to, send some good vibes and things. But,
Sure.
and actually I got, frankly, a little bit frustrated earlier with one piece of content of yours that I saw, and I'm not going to trash it on there,
No,
but
we can talk about it if you want.
You have a great mind, and it was I forget exactly what it was about. It was
The CEO guy with the medicine and whatnot.
no, it was one where you had all the weird trippy effects recently.
Oh, the you don't want a job thing.
That, yes, the
Mhm,
content as
mhm,
far as the spoken word of that and your logic
mhm.
behind it, loved it, fantastic.
Okay. All right.
I fucking hate it when there's so much. Let's go super green here. Let's go super red there. Let's just go all weird
Okay.
blurry shit with
I
that.
gotcha.
And
I gotcha.
there is certainly a niche for that. And I
Yeah,
think for
that's what
what
I was going for.
you did something great within that sphere of what the editing was supposed to be.
I
Spot
actually
on,
want to do
great.
more of that, but I do
But
appreciate the feedback when people are
it's
willing to come out of their shell and say,
God,
I disagree with something you're doing. But I think that
yeah.
when
But
when
I
I hear
love it.
your
It's so
feedback,
good.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. With all due respect, and take this as a positive, what I take away from that isn't don't do that effect anymore. It's be aware of the fact that that effect might be divisive. You might get some fans with that, but it'll be a love it or hate it kind of fan base.
And I
So,
really think what it comes down to is maybe
you know,
dialing back how far that effect
I
goes.
went to 10. I went to
Yeah,
10 on that. I started
I
figuring out how to
I
do all
think
this trippy shit, and I'm
oh,
like, let me go over the top here. You know,
yeah, you
I
glitched
like
out
it,
that
but
10. It's great.
well, you
But
know what
yeah,
else too? When you take video copy, like I took video content off of YouTube that was just, I'm gonna be honest, was just, yoink, 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 keepvid.com, take it and make it your own. But if you put effects on something and slow it down and do whatever, like if you notice in that video, and you guys can go to facebook.com/RJ Future if you're watching this to see some of this content, this video content that I've been producing recently under my own little personal brand. But I took some clips out of the Office Space movie. I don't know if you ever saw the Office Space.
yep.
Or the stapler and all that.
Oh,
So, you can't use kind of more than a few seconds of that kind of footage on YouTube without getting flagged for whatever copyright infringement. So that's part of where all the effects came from. But nah, Adam, and like stepping back up a level of specificity here, going back out a level. Part of this content creation quagmire is the echo chamber effect and being able to elicit feedback. I'll speak to that. And then Adam, I wanted to ask you a direct question so I can get your feedback. But
sure.
just to set it up, I've experienced as a content creator in the past few years kind of a conundrum of wanting to create content but getting frustrated when I don't get any engagement or I don't get enough views or enough subscribers or whatever. I feel like, man, this is just going nowhere. Adam, do you experience that with your content creation, and do you have any ways to overcome that in any way?
Pardon my French, but all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we did the Voluntary Virtues Network, for example. Brilliant idea. So many great minds coming to that one singular location. Guys like you, me, Chuck, and when we had time, we threw up videos. We did great episodes. And maybe we're not the most eloquent. We're not, Tom Woods. We're not Bob Murphy. We're not, Lou Rockwell or Ron Paul or any of those folks. But we put out a message that was uniquely our own. And where did that go? It died. It's still a very active community. It's just not.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's still going. It's just
by visuals and by the view count, it's dead. We might as well just put it in the body bag, toss it in the morgue, eventually have its funeral. And I love the Voluntary Virtues Network. I love the people who are doing the content there. And what I found is that those people are doing so many other different side projects. Somebody started up the Seeds of Liberty podcast, and now they're getting coverage on the Freedom Fiends radio show, and all sorts of other ideas along those lines. Just so many other little podcasts are starting to spew off from there, and they're hitting big. They're getting much, much bigger than they were just in that little bitty community. But I think what I love about what you do, Randall, is that you throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. And then you exploit that and go as far as you can and try to make whatever that particular thing that stuck is, make it even better and better and better and better. And really, that's what I think you were doing with the video that I despise the visuals for so much. You did several good ones previously, and still not really my cup of tea, but I'll give it a watch because I love what you always have to say, whether I like how you look about it, whatever. But
sure, no problem.
And it's so cool to see somebody who's really just going out there and just trying to make it happen, hustling, as they call it, in some of the circles that I've talked with recently. You're out there hustling, trying to find your spot, and that's what I think a lot of people lack. They don't want to find their spot. They have their little soapbox, and then they want to stand on that soapbox for the rest of time, rant and rave about that particular issue or that particular field or genre, and they expect everything to come to them. No, maybe you do prefer to talk about a particular issue or not, but I think if it's not what the people want to hear you talk about, find that thing that they want to hear you talk about. So to circle this back to this whole future of web content thing, this whole thesis started with Facebook video is eventually going to be superior to YouTube in a way, in that Facebook gets you more engagement, gets you more views right out the gate. And I wonder, and you addressed this in the video you did that featured my little crappy video on the side. Hey, is it because everybody's trolling on Facebook more often? Is it because people are trolling on Twitter more often? Kind of like with Periscope? Or is that, just because, hey, not many people know how to search around in YouTube? And you gave a pretty good answer. Would you want to recap that for the audience here?
Yeah, well, your theory was half of the answer, which is, if you want to give that, which was basically, I'll set it up, basically the idea that, more people are spending more time on Facebook, right? Was that what you were, basically it's like a hanging out spot? Was it what you were saying?
Well, hanging out spot and or on the can, time to do some things.
Yeah, when you got time to kill, whatever it may be, in the elevator, on the can, whatever. Going off of that, I would expand upon that and say that Facebook is more of a content exploration platform, like StumbleUpon or Pinterest, or Twitter, where you go there with an open mind, looking for something within a realm of context for yourself. Whereas YouTube, I feel like, is sort of between Google search engine and like Netflix or Hulu, insofar as most of the people going to YouTube for content, I believe, are going to see their PewDiePies, their Funny or Nots, the mainstream web content, essentially. So right now, the Banters and the Periscopes and the Facebook videos are so side channeled that I'm this little squeaking mouse in the corner saying, do this, when really, Adam, that if this stuff came to bear, it would be probably a year or so at least down the line before RJ's premonitions would be shown to be anything.
Well, and one thing that I found back before I got involved with the Voluntary Virtues Network and things like that, I was on a website called vocal.com. It was very much basically a talk show version of twitch.tv, which I know a lot of you guys out there are familiar with. You have your favorite live streamers. My personal favorite is Brownman, or Ray Narvaez Jr. from Achievement Hunter, and the other creatures, and insert gaming YouTuber here. They all basically live stream on Twitch. But this vocal.com thing did what Google Hangouts do now. I feel like it wasn't stolen, obviously, but it was perfected. Well, not quite perfected, or else we wouldn't be here. But,
right.
Hey, maybe Google Hangouts will adopt more of this sort of format, or maybe Spreecast or Vocal might adopt this kind of format. Maybe Periscope might in the future. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
what's interesting is Periscope, on that point real quick, I didn't even remember this because I have so much stuff going on. We all have so much stuff going on, but like even within the realms that I care about, like internet marketing or whatever, I forgot I knew this, but Periscope is owned by Twitter,
Right.
right? So it's like there's Periscope, there's Meerkat, I think is like a Periscope alternative. I think it was actually there first by a few months. And I think it's a land grab. You got your WhatsApps, you got your your Snapchats of the world that are fighting for the like rich media messaging kind of space. Facebook Messenger trying to butt in there. So this whole Facebook video play, I think, is just more of the same of Facebook trying to be everything at once, which is what happens when you get to be really big in your niche. You can't get bigger, so you have to go into other niches, like Google does all the time. But in the case of Facebook, I think this is extremely important and extremely smart because you're one of your main questions on the last retort or last response you gave, Adam, was that where is this going? Are we going to lose the written word? Are we going strictly to video now? Is there something beyond video? That's exactly the question I think everyone should be asking and discussing. But since you asked me, I believe that, yeah, I mean, we're essentially trying to mimic each other being here and talking to each other in the same room. We realized we had a computer or a phone. It was just to replicate that. So if we can add video, if we could add virtual reality or augmented reality, if I could have you project yourself into my room as a hologram where you're sitting on your chair, but it looks like you're sitting in this chair, that would be more engaging for me. And if other people could watch us in augmented reality to where they're sitting in the other chair and there's a million people sitting in that third chair and it's me interviewing you and you can sit there and watch and see the facial expressions, that's the next thing. That's the next thing, to where we're wearing, our goggles and it looks like we're all in the same room, but there's 10 million of us. Yeah, just flip your thing around. That's it. That's the future. There you go. It's what we're doing right now, but in a room with a shit ton of people.
Well, and part of my thought is that a lot of people, and I find myself in this camp, really aren't good writers. Whether we haven't practiced enough, whether we just don't have that talent. Here's some fun background, behind the scenes secrets for you guys. Whenever I produce content for YouTube, whether it was doing the live show for the Voluntary Virtues, whether it was doing my pre-recorded content and where I'd slash and edit and cut and break things and scream in a microphone and do 12 takes, I didn't write much down. What I did is I did a rant, recorded however long that rant ended up going, found the best parts, wrote those down, typed them up, whatever, found a way to go point by point by point without being too long-winded, and just went from there. And I have very little writing skills. I did pretty well in my English classes when I was in high school, just enough to get by. I knew all the big fancy words, so the teachers were able to say, "Oh, hey, you have a good grasp of things." And I was like, "The fuck I do." I use the internet for half of those.
Words.
And yeah, thesauruses are my friend because I don't know very many words.
A lot of people don't know what the thesaurus even is, Adam. So you're definitely ahead of the game. Bro. Hate to admit it.
It's my rich white privilege. That's a conversation for another day. But
what's cool about this banter thing is you can jump right in, and I have at least 5 Twitter accounts that are active that I log into every week and use. So if I build a banter discussion, if I did a banter a day, like Monday I did this platform, Tuesday I did that platform, and I talked with a new person each day for a half hour and bantered from it, that goes out to Twitter. Then I save it, render it, put it up to YouTube, upload that obviously to Facebook. And just to flesh that out, guys, if you're making content for YouTube and it's short form or medium form, like under 5 minutes, just save it when you're rendering it. If you render to 1080 or 720 for YouTube, render to 480. Just that way it only takes a minute to render. Render it to 480p, widescreen, and then upload it to Facebook directly. That way your file size is like 10 megabytes or something, for a few minutes. Upload directly to Facebook. It says photo or video now. It doesn't say just upload a photo. It's photo or video. Upload that video. Facebook saves it to their servers, and that's how they're going to promote that content more so. Facebook's not going to promote links to YouTube or Twitch anymore because they don't want you going somewhere else for video. They have video here. They're trying to get you to stay in place and watch video there. You ever notice when you see a Facebook video now, you can just scroll down and see the next one? That's why you're getting so much more action, because if you do a video about your cat playing with a string of yarn or whatever and upload that to Facebook, the next video is going to be somebody else's cat, not your cat again. You don't have another cat video yet, right? So they're going to show another cat video.
Right, and
if you started now and put all your content on Facebook going forward the next 6 months, and you have 50 to 100 videos on Facebook, and 6 months from now or a year from now, when Facebook says we're going to start putting ads under the videos on the side of the videos, and we're going to start paying the people that put those videos up, just like YouTube does, a percentage of that ad revenue. When that ball drops, when that shoe drops with Facebook, which I predict is happening in the next year, they haven't, to my knowledge, said anything this way, but I predict that. Then it's going to be a mad rush, and everyone's going to be trying to post content, and they're going to have some easier mobile tool to just record video to Facebook and upload and edit and all that right in there. Then it's going to be easy to get drowned out. Right now is a chance for people to get 6 months ahead of the game and get 50 to 100 videos on Facebook and be there when the mad rush starts.
Well,
to really
and
take
one
place.
thing to keep in mind as well, I don't know how often you've paid attention to the Instagram fame type people, or the ones who get big with the viral video that they did put up on Facebook. Yeah, it eventually got to YouTube, and yeah, it kind of blew up that way and ad revenue that way. But whenever you have this sort of massive viral sharing of whatever it is, whether it's a meme, a GIF, a video, a bit of audio, whatever the case, some of these people have gotten sponsorships from other companies on Facebook, like your Doritos, your Pringles, things like that. So, you may, in fact, and we're not guaranteeing this, if you get a video that goes viral,
sure,
your cat might become in the next, Friskies ad, or your dog might go in the next Purina ad, or you might be on the next America's Funniest Home Videos. You never know, but you may get an income stream aside from just the ad revenue. So why not start now? Now, yes, I'm a complete hypocrite. I completely procrastinate. I don't put up content much anymore. In fact, I'm actually in the works of recording and writing a whole series that I could talk about on another conversation, another banter down the road for libertariangaming.org. But that's not the time nor place for this here right now. So basically, I guess the next question is, what can beat video aside from, virtual reality, which is still probably decades away? How can we get better than that video?
Not decades. I'd say virtual reality is only probably 2 or 3 years away from augmented reality is where it looks like you're in my room with some hologram or something. That might be 10 or 20 years away. But to where, because I'm already using virtual reality. Like, I don't know if you've tried the Google Cardboard where you put the phone in the thing and you pull it over your head and it's like you're in a
video,
VR kind of space. Yep. So, I mean, Facebook owns Oculus Rift.
That's right.
So Facebook's already positioned to put us into a 3-dimensional social media environment in the next few years anyway. They're working on that aggressively behind the scenes. So yeah, that'll be the sort of next one, is where you put on your Oculus Rift and then you go into open the door and you're in the 3-dimensional Facebook, and you go, okay, let me go over to my Liberty crowd. And then you walk over there and there's, oh, there's Adam Kokesh and there's this one. And, maybe a speech is happening, or maybe someone's having a roundtable discussion, or maybe there's a poll being, maybe there's a vote taking place, essentially a vote. If there's no coercion, a vote is just a poll. It's just, what does everyone think, right? So, yeah, I think that's essentially, I mean, to answer the question, really, there's not a ton more. I mean, I think what we're doing right now is pretty engaging.
Well, I mean, for example, we've doubled our viewer count since we just started. We're now up to 4 watchers. Really?
We had an 8 spike at one point. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah, I was watching. It was like it jumped up and then it went back down. But and that's the catch-22 with like the Banters and the Periscopes of the world, is that there's such a early adopter, position with it, that of the entire internet audience, you probably have 1% to 2%. I'm on another app right now called Stance.
I was just about to have a segue into that. You're reading my mind, dude. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Yeah. Stance is, it's almost what you were kind of complaining about, or not complaining about, but calling attention to, is the fact that we're losing the written word now. But Stance is a way of keeping people's attention and saying, all right, if I just boiled it down to one sentence, are you yay or nay on this one thing? Tulips are better than roses. Okay. Agree or disagree? That's what Stance is. I think that's an exciting platform. What are your thoughts, Adam?
Stance. I hate some of the people that comment on it.
Pretty cool.
Because they're dumb.
Yeah.
But for example, that's
the point, though. You got it.
Obesity should not be considered a national threat. Agree or disagree? Being last-minute shoppers does not mean that men are lazy. Agree or disagree? Stealing $41,000 worth of chicken wings does not make you a criminal mastermind. Agree or disagree? Goat Christmas carols are hilarious. Agree or disagree? That is totally agree. Done. It's such a great app, and yes, there's a website for it, but screw that. Get the app. Just do it. Get
Stance
the app.
with
It's
two N's,
fantastic.
STAANCE.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the website's pretty dope. But I was surprised when I
Oh
went
my
to the
God,
website. But the app,
so
the
much
app is the way
fun.
to be.
Because whenever,
Have you gotten invited to? Have you
oh
made
yeah,
a lot of comments,
oh yeah,
Adam? Because that's how I got invited to be a mod or a host or whatever. They said, hey, we see that you're really engaged. Would you like to, become a
yeah.
host?
Getting into the whole early adopter
All
thing,
right.
you jumped in really early on in the process, and I jumped in a little bit after you did on the stance thing. And I think it's fantastic. They're starting to integrate more with other social medias. It's starting to get shared out a little bit more, and I'm starting to see more engagement through the app.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. I mean, how often can you get a completely decisive question, agree or disagree, and then have a whole list of things? And guess what? You don't have to worry about notifications on your phone half the time unless you set push notifications for it. You're not going to have
Right.
Facebook have 30,000 notifications. That's, half the people screaming in your left ear saying you're a moron, and half the people screaming in your right ear saying they're morons, don't listen to them. It's just, hey, you make your comment, you could check back on it later if you want. Otherwise, you can just see the dial of how many agree, how many disagree, and you move on.
Yeah. The other interesting thing with stance too is that you're not allowed to make a comment unless you take a stance. So you can't be like, McDonald's is the worst food in America, and then not take a stance and then just troll under that and be like, check out my McDonald's website. Like, you have to say agree or disagree on that stance so people can see where you stand. And then when you make a comment, it's not just a comment. They want you to say why you agree or disagree. So if you say, I disagree that Hillary's ready to be the president or something, then it asks you why. So you might say, because she's old, or because I don't believe anybody should be the president, or
God,
because
the amount of
whatever.
times you and I said that.
in your response, you can really clear up where you're coming from, and then people can comment onto that and agree or disagree with your response or your reasoning, and then it goes deeper and deeper. So whoever, actually it's this guy Emmanuel M. I don't know his last name, but this guy Emmanuel is the CEO and founder of Stance, and kudos to him. Yeah, great concept. And Banter, whoever made up Banter, I'm going to be researching that. But whoever made this platform,
fantastic,
great job.
So, I mean, do you really think there's much more that this conversation topic can really delve into before we start getting into shenanigans?
We're already into shenanigans. No, I mean, I had fun with this thing. Thanks for the 4 to 8 people or whatever
back up to 8
around here. I had Twitter open before. I invited everybody from Facebook and Twitter. I had Twitter open to see if anybody was going to be following me or sending any questions or thoughts. I got some followers and likes, but I didn't get anybody sending me any kind of direct message or comment on what we're talking about. So as of right now, I mean, I just think that we kind of got it out there. Why don't you sum up your thoughts? I'll sum up my thoughts, and if you want to plug anything. And
well, basically, long story short, the whole
YouTube
concept of the future of web content, basically the way I see it, we're going to be stuck with video for a little while. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Maybe the market's going to get oversaturated with people just screaming into a microphone like me. And, maybe that'll push me out and make me have to go and innovate somewhere else or shut the hell up. You never know. But the important thing is everybody's got a good story to tell, whether it's about a particular topic or just their life or just something their dog did that day. There is something that everyone needs to broadcast and needs to do it, not should do it. They need to do it because otherwise, we've got these history books that are put together by, the elites in education and typically by the governments of whom the books are going to be for. We don't want that. We want to have good, explicit stories of what exactly happened, what went where, how, what, this, that, and happened, and the mindsets of the people during that process. We don't want to get swept under the table. We want such a massive data to be put forward in the future that it will be impossible for anyone to say, oh, back in the early 2000s or, the 2010s, everybody liked Donald Trump or everybody liked Bernie Sanders. There were a lot of us that were dissident on this.
Right.
So I guess I'll wrap that up with that. And I don't really want to plug anything. I guess you see the crap down below. If you are so inclined and you are libertarian in nature, I would recommend checking out libertariangaming.org. It's a platform that I'm currently doing some work with. That's some media for the future, some video content. So check that out. But more so, definitely spend a lot more time checking out all the shenanigans and crap this guy puts out, because he puts out a lot of it and it's fantastic. So definitely check him out a lot more. So I guess I'll shut the hell up and let you ramble for a while.
Thanks, brother. It's all good. Yeah, nah. So basically, yeah. I mean, Adam did a great job just summing it up. Basically, the web is a constantly evolving place where, we went from, news groups and chat rooms to MySpace to Facebook to Twitter to Periscope and now Banter and things like this pretty rapidly. I mean, in the course of 10, 15 years. So where it goes next, we'll see. But yeah, check out Adam, check out myself on the Twitter accounts below. Definitely send us any feedback you have on Twitter. We'll respond, maybe do another banter on the topic. But yeah, look for both of us on this platform and look for us. Follow us on Twitter and you'll see where we're at. But yeah, who the hell knows where this puppy's going?
Hashtag
right?
love you guys, and we'll catch you later.
I'm out of here, guys.